I read Albert Camus more recently, so I'm going to use his framework. He said something that's akin to hope is wanting the future to be a certain way, and regret is wanting the past to be a certain way.
Oh, that's good.
Regret and hope are the same thing.
Oh,
and
neat.
Hope gets this like, oh, it's good to have hope. And it's like kind of, but it just takes us out of what we can do right here, right now.
Welcome to the David Leifeste Show, where we capture conversations with true pathfinders, people who crack the code on living their best life. I'm your host, David Leifeste, 40-year coach and counselor, and this is where we explore the possibility of you and the life you're searching for. So I guess if we start today more formally, we say Jared Michalski, if we say the Dr. Michalski, correct? Is that right?
Correct. Yeah, Michalski. Yeah.
Michalski. It has the M-I-C-H, but C isn't pronounced. It's just Michalski.
Correct. Very Polish.
Polish, yes.
Yes.
And see, they say Polish people aren't that smart, but here's another thing we made an assumption about, right?
I snuck through somehow. Yeah.
Here we have one of the smartest people on the earth, and it's Jared Michalski.
I don't think that, but
yeah.
Thank you.
Let's start with the fact that why does someone get in? I mean, how did this happen where you got so interested in forensic pathology, I guess, which is studying dead people, right? And crime scenes, like people who got killed and we don't know why. There's a mystery to it. Is that sort of the gist of kind of how you got started?
Yeah. Our main role, before I get to the background, is investigating unnatural or unexpected deaths. Sometimes it turns out to be natural. Sometimes it turns out to be an accident. Sometimes it turns out to be suicide. And the reason why we really are there is sometimes it turns out to be homicide, right? The death at the hands of another through an act of commission or culpable omission. So you can kill someone.
Any of those, and we're going to get to the bottom of it, from suicide to murder to it could be a natural death, but we're not concluded. It's not conclusive yet.
Yeah, so we call that manner of death, and I would make a distinction based on my line of work. We use the term homicide, which is defined as the commission or omission or culpable omission of an act that leads to the death of another. It doesn't mean murder implies premeditation and intent. So someone planned this, or they were in an act in the heat of passion, killed someone. We don't deal with that. That's like the responsibility of the court after we do our thing, our investigation. And then we say, okay, this person didn't shoot themselves in the back 10 times.
Right.
You know, this is the cause of death is multiple gunshot wounds. And then the manner of death is homicide. So that's our main role. So back to your original question. Yeah, kind of by accident, just kind of going with the flow of like what felt right. Like I went to, we make plans for the future, and then plans, our motivations change or circumstances change, and we adapt and evolve.
What were you planning? What were you actually planning? What did you have in mind? Because that's so classic to life, and all of us thinking we know what we're doing and trying to make something happen, like, be the lawyer because Uncle Charlie is, or, go ahead and establish this and do that because of that. In my book, I call that working outside in. We are creating our plans out of what would be socially acceptable, safe usually, or something already pre-established that would be, able to be controlled by doing that. And that's kind of the typical approach to, I think, making those decisions. And it sounds like you were kind of on your way that way initially.
Yes. So back to your first step in your program, like the being open, I've just like time and time again, just really had to like broaden my perspective. I was so like zoomed in on like, oh, I have to be a surgeon. I have to be an anesthesiologist. And there's this whole world out there, like in medicine, but let alone more than that. So, I locked in on medicine. I decided I didn't know anything about it. Looking back, I was 18 years old. You start on the pre-med track, you do that. And we had a family friend, my aunt and grandmother, my great aunt and grandmother worked for this pathologist and lawyer named Cyril Wecht in Pittsburgh, and he did big name cases. He investigated John Bonet,
Oh,
Ramsey, and he was like a second person in on JFK. So
wow.
I knew
Jeez.
about forensic pathology as a form of medicine more so than a lot of people, I would say, because of that exposure. But I didn't like consider doing it. It was just like, oh yeah, he does that. Flash forward into the end of medical school, and like you get to choose elective rotations in the hospital your last year. And I was like, pathology seems really interesting. Like, at least in school, that's where you really learn like what the tumors look like under the microscope, and what does this disease actually look like when
Mm.
you open up the body and you see the liver and it's cirrhotic or, hard and fibrous from alcohol or different types of things.
That shows
So
me
I was
you're
like,
curious too. Another big feature of the OA
yes,
person's curious. And you thought, oh, let me
yes,
see what it really looks like in there. The
yes.
rest of us are going, gross, get that away from me. Jerk
Oh,
the
yes.
wow.
Just what I can learn about reality, and if I'm using your framework, like observe, like
Hmm.
something's in
Hmm.
front of you that's interesting, like observe it, like, and then move on to like analyze, like really sit with what's in front of you, because reality is trying to teach us something, right? So it just seemed very tangible. It was like, this tumor is this because, and you could look at it and it has the morphology of the cells under the microscope. And then you do genetics on it and it has that mutation that is found with that tumor. And they can give these immunotherapies that target that gene or, immune system attribute. So kind of by that, and then moving on from that, getting into laboratory medicine, you have to start generally like, if someone gets their kidney removed for a tumor, you're the resident, you section it, you take sections, you stain the margins to see if tumor's there, and you put all these things on microscope slides, and you assess the stage and degree of the tumor. That was kind of tedious and it got less rewarding. And then once I had my forensic pathology rotation, you have to do like 1 month of forensic autopsies and pathology residency, and just seeing it's so old school. I love it. They're still doing the same techniques from the 1800s, like described by
Whoa.
like famous pathologists. They have like fancy names like Latoul and Rokitansky and Virchow, the Virchow method for removing everything from the tongue
Oh,
down and taking the
oh.
whole organ block, and just seeing someone do that very fast and knowing all the anatomy and then drawing the body diagram. That was it. I was sold.
I'm telling you, I can feel the excitement in your in your voice. You're getting too happy about that. No, but and you're almost sound
Yeah.
like you're singing like like this
Maybe
really.
I get excited.
Wow, it's like it's touching his soul. But obviously, at that point, it really was arousing. It was like, wow, it's got that history to it, and all of this that's still used today, and all these different things that made it really, really intriguing to you. And I think your mind really loves being challenged, because I think one of its probably biggest fears is being bored. And so that can see that kind of being exciting for you if it was a little more challenging than just something, more basic.
I I I run away from boredom almost to a fault. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Well,
thank you.
yeah. And so I didn't mean to interrupt. So in that month, you found out that was the forensic rotation, and
Yes,
okay. And so that made it clear to you this is where I want to go with my study from here.
it's just so like an autopsy means to see for yourself.
Okay.
It's
Oh.
okay. This patient maybe was in the hospital. They had blood work done. They had imaging, and none of that is perfect. I mean, nothing's perfect, but like radiology, you're seeing 2D images most of the time, even though they're high resolution. There's not as much contrast and color as seeing the actual organs. Blood work is a snapshot of your body in time. Like you get your blood drawn once, it's how your body was reacting at that moment
Hmm.
to
Hmm.
certain things. You can take your blood and test it the next day and you might see different values. So it's more tangible and conclusive than most other fields of medicine. It's how we discovered most things in medicine is through autopsies. So that was enticing also.
Wow, this is so interesting. Who knew? Autopsy, meaning seeing for yourself.
Yes, that's all it means. Let's take a look.
Yeah, let's take a look. Oh, this is fitting the Oasis really beautifully.
I thought so too. I mean, I read your book and I was like, he's onto something here. It makes sense.
Boy, saying that with such from a voice like yours, a handsome face, is so smart. That's like made my day. We can close up.
You're too nice.
Now. I'm done, Michael. Yeah, drop the mic or whatever you can say. Well, when we talk about people who, in this case, you are now dealing with this other very, very, very smart man that is, I guess, Dr. Omalu. Is that who you're?
Bennet Omalu. Yeah, Bennet Omalu. Okay. Yeah.
And he is the guy that Will Smith played in the movie Concussion, because he did all the research on the impact of, football on head trauma that led to, concussions that led to maybe even dementia and Alzheimer's.
Yes. Will Smith played him in the movie, and it recounted his exposing the connection between, years of football play and subconcussive head trauma and the connection with these Alzheimer-like changes in the brain.
Okay. Boy, that was very well restated, very scientifically.
We got to be careful. I testify a lot. Words matter and how you use them. You got to be careful.
Well, I'm depending on you to make everything a lot more concise and accurate. But that is why you've left us from Tulsa and gone to San Francisco is to work with this doctor, correct?
Yes. And and I had I wish I had your book like a few months ago when I was making the decision, because this constant battle in my head is, when is enough enough? And the paradox of life is we seek comfort and stability, but we also crave mystery and novelty and adventure and progress. So that has been my greatest challenge, is balancing those in life.
How to reconcile those particular drives that we talked about with the left and the right brain. I don't know if that's really where they go, but I just kind of said that in the book, hypothetically. Who knows, the part that's keeping us safe, right, and comfortable and from familiar, and the part that has desire for mystery, growth, and expansion, and finding out curiously what else is there.
Yes, and I think where I've landed, and I'll get back to the move at some point, but it's all relevant, I think. People think of two extremes. They think, there's this vagabond who's unattached, and he has very few possessions, and he just makes friends, and then he moves on. And then there's another version where there's a person who stays in their hometown, marries their high school sweetheart, and just has the same job since they're, 20 years old and till retirement. I think we can dance in between if we're honest and we're present in the moment and we keep contact with the people who mean a lot to us. It's a lot more work when you move around, but at least maybe I'm telling myself that there's a middle ground, but I can't stop moving forward.
So no, but that is a really good way of putting it. It's like you're not like the vagabond who has no connections and no, sense of establishment or any sense of security. But you don't want to be someone who's just set and established so firmly that you're missing out on the adventures like now of going to San Francisco and working with this top man of the world in this area that you want to learn and be a part of. You've been invited there. You have to trust that has got some destiny to it, and there's some kind of purpose ahead for you to go that way. But I guess you're also feeling at the same time, you wish you hadn't left Tulsa before you got to know me better. Is what I'm really hearing underneath all that.
Yes, that's my great mistake. I don't know. We can talk about regret, but yeah.
No, so but it is kind of that. Do we? How much are we do want to not that FOMO, fear of missing out. We don't want to miss out on growth, on things that are in us that could be exploring things and learning and becoming more as a result. Our understanding of things can be deeper, and yeah. So as you made this step into San Francisco, are you still feeling a little bit of like, I was loving what was happening with me when I was feeling a little more secure back in Tulsa, but I'm also excited about what I'm going to discover. And sometimes I go back and forth, even in the middle of that.
Absolutely. Going back and forth now, but when I first got here, it just felt like such a huge mistake. I had it so nice in Tulsa. I had, established friend networks. I had a community. Michael's a good friend of mine. Just knowing that those people are around and in your vicinity it's very comforting, more so
Yeah.
than we often realize. Like, okay, we may be alone right now, but just, a few blocks that way, I have a friend. And in the other direction, a mile or two, I have another friend if I
Yeah.
really need something or whatever.
Yeah.
And just, you know, leaving that, and I had a stable government job. It was a great job. I love the people I worked with there. So I almost wish Tulsa was bad, because it would have made the move much easier.
Yeah.
But I
Absolutely.
made the decision,
Where you left.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly.
No, well, so that is hard, Jared, because it sounds like it would be hard in assessing, in that of Oasis, we're analyzing and assessing something, because everything about what you had here was so positive, right? You had
Yeah.
community, and you had familiarity, and you had a good stable job and you're even saying that even though it was a government job in Tulsa, Oklahoma, it was a very stimulating and challenging and interesting job. But tell me what happened that challenged all that has even gotten you now talking to me from San Francisco, California today, instead of right in my office having coffee together.
Yes. I think it's the potential. I don't want to say hope, but it's because hope gets us out of the present.
Mm-hmm.
I try not to seek fulfillment in the past or in the future. I try to seek fulfillment in this like present moment. And that sounds wooey and cliche maybe, but
Brilliant, I think.
it's the falling in love with the process and the practice of things. And I had lost like the love of the practice, and it was just very stable. And here it was kind of like unknown, and I could do more interesting cases. And not that I would get to a place where I'm like, oh, I'm this big shot pathologist, but imagine the learning process of doing more interesting cases and unusual cases and international things, and consulting on, cases that are already ongoing that other people are doing, and throwing in my opinion. So my entire life has just been, I'm not ready, but an opportunity comes and I throw myself at that opportunity and I sink or swim. And this seemed like another pool to throw myself in and try to, make my way out of.
I love that you are, this is taking another thing that we talk about in the book about courage. You're having to really go forth without knowing a lot, other than it's going to be probably more diverse cases. I'm guessing you're seeking international. You're talking the top guy in the world who probably gets the most interesting cases, and you're going to bring yourself in proximity to that, which those values for you of something that is going to stimulate you, that's going to grow you, that's going to expand you, that's going to cause you to learn, that's going to cause you to become exposed to things that you have not before, are very high to you. And that they
Yes.
are there. You've been invited into into that kind of an experience, into that kind of sphere through Dr. Omalu. And even though you're going to be leaving the things that have been comfortable and pleasant, these things are going to offer the possibilities of more of you. So even when we think of I keep coming back to the book, but you're such a poster boy of it. I can't help it. Wish I had you on the front of the book. But the possibility of you would be, you are now going to expand it, right? The possibility of you has greater potential to be developed, explored, and lived through as you have taken this journey and gone west, young man.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's the journey. It's not imagine who I'll be in 10 years. It's imagine the journey through the next 10 years. If I'm just saying 10 out of random choice, but yeah, totally.
Nothing about your contract says 10 years. We're just saying you're going to end up.
Maybe. I mean, I'm fully vested at that point, so maybe that's why I'm saying.
10 years and vested. We expect
yeah. Buy me out. No, I'm kidding.
So you were reframing that from who you're going to be, but to how the 10-year journey, what that adventure, where that will take you, and with that process. Tell me more about that when you reframed it that way, about this next 10 years.
Yeah, something I had to really wrestle with myself was, okay, I wanted to make sure I'm not doing this because of status or money or what other people would think of me. Like, it really had to be a way of manifesting myself and it just being a part of the journey. I really had to wrestle with that. And that took a lot of, soul searching.
Yes.
But I think one of my main philosophies that I come back to is just life is a practice. Like, we try to write our own stories. It's like, oh, this is how my life is going to go. And then we try to end the book. Like, and then we live happily ever after. And we try to end it right here. Oh, is it when I get the money, when I get the job, when I get, the wife.
Yeah.
Everything's chapters until we're dead. And we confuse like chapters with the end of the book. And we keep trying to end it prematurely. It doesn't, you stick with the chapter and make that the best chapter you can make. But if that ends and dissolves, like, there's another chapter, and keep moving forward. Like, invite people with you, bring them with you, maybe metaphorically or literally, but just figure out, and, I'm loosely tying this back to your book, but like, figure out who you are and keep moving, like, act on it. And yes, it's action. It's thoughts are important, but action changes us. It's what do you survive? What do you go through? How do you deal with these challenges and this suffering? And what do you learn from it? And how do you go forward?
Wow, that's a lot. Well, first of all, I've heard that you want Michael and me to come to San Francisco and follow you. So I've got that down. We've got that.
Yes, come. Yeah.
Okay. So
we'll go out to dinner. It'll be fun.
I have here. But really not to get away from this is such a deep thing, is about how the mindset of how we live in these stories and in terms of these chapters and in terms of getting to this ending. You have been dealing with the endings after they're over in your work, right? I mean, it's like it's over, and the body is the life is over. The life is out of the body, and you're now sitting there going, what can the dead teach us maybe about how we live? Because at that point, when it's all said and done, you're probably thinking, man, what could have been? What? And it's almost like maybe you're sitting there, it's all said and done, and you could say to all of us that are still in the process, be present now in your moment, and allow the moments when you're really present to them with that type of attentiveness to lead you and to write your story for you and in a more interesting way. Don't control it so much and don't try to organize it so much. because that's not how it really works for the most interesting life and the rich life. Does that kind of speak to anything to you when you think of, especially the interesting vantage point you've got, because most of the time you're dealing with life when it's over?
Absolutely. Yeah. And this is nothing new, but it's just, I'm reminded of the importance and the significance of it daily in my job, is how impermanent everything is. We make plans for the future. We put things off. And tomorrow's not guaranteed. Like, it's been said over and over again, but I'm just constantly reminded of that. And also, yes, like back, not to belabor the point, but like, just keep going back to this present moment. It's what is real. I forget Camus' famous quote, but it was like, the person who knows how to live has many days ahead of him. Like, it's what you do with the present that creates the meaning. You don't discover meaning. It's cultivated. Life is a practice. It's what do you do what gets you out of bed and allows you to go to bed at night and sleep comfortably, knowing that you made the most of it and you can have a clear conscience, and you told that person exactly how you felt every time you were with them. I mean, not like expressing all of your emotions there, but just treating them how you care for them. That's the importance. Yeah.
I like that. And so when we have and I don't mean to refer to the book again, but you are.
No, it's a good framework. Yeah, please do.
You're setting me up like I can't even miss it.
No, yes.
The part about be here and be now, right? Let go of choose the now, right? Instead of choose the past or the future, right? Because the now is all there is. And that is such a very challenging concept and mindset for our culture. Tully's book, what is it? Hello?
Be Here Now? Or?
Be Here, no.
Is it Power of Now?
Power of Now, thank you. Michael's not paying attention, so thank you for listening. So anyway, the power of now is that the more we train ourselves to be present here and now, we take in what actually is. And so much of life what didn't happen, the regret, right? The grief of the loss of the past, the embarrassment of the last minute, what could have been, right? Or in the future, what's going to be, and the anxiety of uncertainty that's got us hijacked. And most of life, we're either back there or out there. And all that was happening was here. We missed being actively present to the show, to where life was actually live, and
Absolutely.
we were part of it. So it's so wonderful hearing it from somebody who gets it more than the most of us, because you're always in the place where it's already too late, and it's all been said and done, and the life is over, and you're constantly reminded of how easily it happens, how quickly it happens, how randomly it happens, how many different ways it happens, and then especially.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to add on to what you're saying, and I agree with everything. I read Albert Camus more recently, so I'm going to use his framework. He said something that's akin to hope is wanting the future to be a certain way, and regret is wanting the past to be a certain way.
Oh, that's good.
Regret and hope are the same thing.
Oh,
and hope gets this like, oh, it's good to have hope. And it's like kind of, but it just takes us out of what we can do right here, right now. The future is going to happen based on our, nature and our actions and our biology and all that stuff. And I don't know, it just takes us out. It's like, living off of a photo album from the past and like, look how good my life was. And it's instead hope becomes this, future scrapbook. It's like, look what my life I hope it turns out that way. And it's just, I don't know, a
Is
slippery
that
slope.
is that part of? I mean, now what I'm sensing about you, Jared, is you're this deeply. I don't want to analyze you too quickly because I just have gotten to know you, but
Please
obviously,
do.
your left brain is like supercharged for science. Good grief, right? You're doing all these lab stuff and specimens of things and cutting up on things. And okay, the thing about it is that you've got very, very deep analytical left brain competency. But then you've got this super interesting brain, that the right side, the soul side, that really talks about philosophy. And just like you did about being in the now, and about trying to understand how we think about life and how we position ourselves so we can optimize it and, really be present to it in a cooperative way that's going to allow us an interesting journey, et cetera, et cetera. That's a lot to manage that has different metrics, to reconcile. Tell me about how you've gone about trying to, because I think a lot of the readers of the book of The Possibility of You, or people who are in my office, or people who are seekers in general, are dealing with that. They're usually quite analytic. They're usually quite good and responsible, but they are very deeply soulfully minded, deep thinking, and really want to try to make sure they make the most spiritual and mystical and powerful journey of living as well. Do you have anything to say as you try to take, as a prime example, a person who's very, very dominant in both hemispheres, how you go about trying to organize your thinking and your strategies for living?
Wow, that's been a really hard thing, especially, using the framework again, like being open and observing. Like, I think, and I'm curious what you think people get caught up on the most in those steps you've laid out. I don't think people are as open and they don't observe as much as they could.
Absolutely.
You need to, what I've learned is just, you really need to build your own framework from the ground up. Like, you can learn things from different frameworks. You can take bits and pieces, but you must construct this house from the foundation.
Shut up and preach. Go on.
Yeah, like, not to sound woo-woo or anything, but I think Michael and I were discussing this in our last hangout. Jiddu Krishnamurti said something like, don't join anything. Don't join any group. You can learn from a group, read their books, read their sacred texts, take it in, discuss with them, but your mind has to stand entirely alone. That doesn't mean you're going to be alone, literally. That means that anytime you're impacted with influence or information, you can decide for yourself whether that makes sense or not. So I had to get rid of a lot of things that were just not indoctrinated, but
kind of programming.
You must get married. You must be monogamous. You must have kids. This is what a meaningful life is. Like, I've really had to make some hard decisions and chase the one thing that makes me feel alive. And it's learning and progress and friendship. Like, those are the top for me. It's movement. It's moving my body, learning how, like, philosophy is one thing, but, I think I said earlier, like, thoughts don't change us. Action changes us. It's how you move through, the end stage of your framework as well. It's, what do you do then? And if you can't think of a movement with your body and enact it through the world, if you can't control your own body and pursue what you find valuable and have meaning at, then you don't have anything in this world. Like, people are walking around with, I think it's crazy that people can't, like, touch the floor with straight legs. Like, that's I'm getting a little woo woo, but there's so much to enact ourselves through this world.
I love that. No, I can
Um,
feel you through the screen and all these 5,000 miles apart or wherever we are. I don't know how far San Francisco is to Tulsa, but it's a long way. But I can feel the fact that you are so convicted by what you've just stated. And I love that. That we need to really, and I think I try to put it in the book, is we try to deconstruct really what we got conditioned into forming. you know,
Absolutely.
from early childhood, because it's natural that when you are growing up, you are attempting, first of all, to make sure you're going to survive. And to survive, that means you need to figure out how people roll around you and what you have to do to get their, cooperation, because you need them, right? You need that mother's milk, and you need that daddy's strength or whatever, and you need that you need coach to teach you basketball so you won't be a nerd. You need all these different people that your brain is assessing. You have value to me. And so what is it you want me to be? How do you want me to act? What's your stick that's going to get me the greatest chances of keeping your approval, your acceptance, and therefore that I will make it as I keep going forward to the uncertainty of the future. And little by little, with all these small, unconscious, oftentimes, choices, we are starting to form into who we be. And as we emerge later on, you're sitting there going, gosh, I don't even know what to make of this. This is kind of really mixed up and it doesn't really make any sense. And I don't really know what to feel about it. Right. And then I think in our culture, I feel like we've become a third world country of the soul. We just find ways to anesthetize that or distract from that, so that we don't feel so bad being this neutral, Stepford, mixed up, some blob of a bunch of other people's expectations and, what they think is right for us,
yes, people play make believe, or I don't know. Do you think it's like a lack of I don't want to make it sound that negative, but like a lack of maturity or development where we move past yes, we, like you said, we need that as kids, like, oh, okay, don't do that, do this, like, here, we feed you, but is it a lack of development in a sense?
I think it's a good question. In a way, when a lot of people refer to the Bible, they talk about getting milk and then finally growing up and eating something more substantive, And I think in the beginning, we're drinking a lot of the milk. That's all we can digest, right? And so, but yet what should happen is we should evolve. We ultimately should take more responsibility. We should ultimately be more diligent to go out of our village. If we're going to have the richness of a life that I think people truly are looking for, you've got to leave the village. You've got to start eating something with a little bit more density to it in terms of substantive, thought and kind of what you believe. And like you said, you've got to maybe go check these different places out that have organized themselves, gather what they've learned, but don't define yourself by them. Don't start finding another place to go get defined like you did back at home with mama, right? Go out autonomously. Go out independently, go out as the individual original art of who Jared Michalski is, right? I mean, who gets to be Jared Michalski anyway? My gosh, that's rich material. I will do a trade-in on that if you want to trade Jared for David, but there's very few, many people really say, everybody else is taken, they tell you, you're the one who's got to do you. So do you as the original art of you. And that would mean deconstruct, I think, what you were referring to, deconstruct a lot of the other stuff that was defining you and oftentimes restricting you. And oftentimes in that confining of you, keeping you from the kind of process of living, of growth, of expansion, of adventure. And right now you're on one of those. It's so great to talk to you today. Just you started yet another adventure going off to San Francisco, working with Dr. Omalu and doing something that's, it's hard. It's something different and it's something more challenging, but you're committed to your individual journey to do that. And you left a community, you left another family you created and said, I must go off again out of the village. I've been called. Something's called me out to something more. And as much as I want to stay with y'all and I want to stay where it's safe and I want to stay where I'm defined as a part of this family, I've got this next mission. And I believe we're all being regularly invited into those next kinds of opportunities for growth. I loved the thing you talked about, touching the feet, your hands to the floor. I found out by doing a little research that you were also a gymnast. So you have a little advantage on flexibility. Is that true?
I did like adult gymnastics and I've been active in doing handstands and backflips my whole life. And it's something that when I taught movement in college a little bit, it blew my mind when we had people who couldn't somersault, like, just roll over. And it just seemed to me that like it was the most basic thing to be able to do. It's like the first thing, we learn as like 5-year-olds. And if you're like somewhat active in climbing trees, right? And it was just, people are so out of tune with their bodies. And I think there's a lot of philosophy there that we don't have to get into, but just we have this body that can move, and like there's basic human movement patterns that people just can't do, like squat down or sit on the floor. Like I tell my grandma, I'm like, just every day, just get onto the floor, lay down and get back up without using any help. And to her, that is the most challenging thing she can do.
How many times have you had to go over and get her off the floor?
Luckily none. She did it once and she's like, do you know how hard it was to get back up? I was like, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that in the blue zones, they talk about those people that are over 100, the centenarians, right? Who they continue to climb up the hill of the mountain to go to the garden, to get down on the knees, to pull the vegetables and to weed the vegetables. And, there's a sense of constantly, they do the Tai Chi, right? And so, yeah, I think we're finally learning that it's all connected, but so between what we're thinking and how we're feeling and how we're moving and what we're speaking and where we're going, it's a concert of all of this being in sync. And that so many of the times we've got parts of it kind of blocked. And right there, like you talked to, the physicality is a powerful place to get intentional on starting to move it and connect it. I even heard that you do some fancy juggling sometimes behind your back. That's kind of cool. Tell me about that. Many of us can't even juggle in front of our faces. What's the secret?
Yeah. So I had a movement coach briefly, and he's very into like, it's not the weights you can lift or how many push-ups you can do. It's the patterns. It's, can you crawl? Can you jump? Can you squat? Can you, walk on your hands? And once you get good at that, you should move on to something else. So juggling came in as part of, he had an area called object manipulation, interacting with our environment. One aspect is interacting with our own selves, and then every sport is juggling. Volleyball is one ball juggling. Basketball, dribbling, that's juggling. Like, object manipulation is everywhere. It's how we interact with the outside world. And just being dexterous. And once I learn a pattern, there's like hundreds of 3-ball juggling patterns you can do, really cool tricks, and they look fancy if you want to show off. But what really is rewarding about juggling is it taught me how to learn better. Even after I learned juggling after medical school and all that. I'm like, I wish I started juggling way earlier, because it teaches you to break things down into steps. because you can't, if you just try to do the crazy juggling move, like off the bat, you're going to not be able to do it. You need to slow it down, see where they're catching it, and they're bringing it over and then back to the, starting position. And you have to do things symmetrically. So people want to do a move like they'll get good at it and they want to do it the same way, but then you have to do it the other way. And it trains both sides of your brain.
Oh, wow. Oh, man.
It's very good for neural connections and neuroplasticity. And there's even like studies that show it grows like your brain matter in certain areas.
I don't know if you realize this, but we're going to be asking you to be on the podcast again and again, because there's so much to really mine out of you. And if you don't mind sharing it, I would love to do that. And one of them will be next time where we want to demo on some of the juggling. And we would
wow. Okay. That sounds interesting.
And we'll talk about what you're wearing at that time, just how that looks. But anyway, we'll put on a way to kind of do a demonstration and us begin to kind of get that in our mind's eye, seeing Jared, how he actually has been training that brain of his, because that's very, very encouraging.
I appreciate that.
I love that. Well, we've taken way too much of your time this morning on a Saturday, but I can't tell you how much I've enjoyed it. It's been amazing.
Bam. Yes, I'd love to continue the conversation at some point. Thank you very much.
Oh, I appreciate that. Did you get that down, that he said he will continue that conversation? Because we want to have, because Jared, my idea is that I want to have a lot of top people, maybe 8 or 10 that I have on regularly, so that instead of having a lot of different people that we just go, down a little bit on the surface, I want to have some deep people that I come back to and continue to dig deeper with.
I like that. Yeah.
So that we can actually really, I think, learn a lot more that way. And I want each of us, every time an interview or a conversation is over, to be thinking a little differently about our lives and to go out and do something a little differently about how we're living. And I think that you've given us definitely some material in both of those categories today. And so I really appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
It's wonderful to meet you, and thank you for your time, and congratulations on this new adventure that you've begun. And I commend you for your courage and for your sense of willingness to be vulnerable and to leave where it's been really pleasant and lovely here. And we want you to know you're invited back at any time. If you decide not to be so courageous and want to come home, we're here for you.
I appreciate that. It's been a great conversation. Thanks a lot, David.
Thank you, Jared.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Right. See ya.
Thank you for joining me for this conversation. If you enjoyed the show, could you please like and subscribe so you never miss a new episode? And I'll see you next time.